The program is still this morning on ITV, Sunday's edition with Evan Sunokoge and Praise Daniels. Well, I told you that we're going to be looking at the 2022 Electoral Amendment. It is now 2022. It started 2021 and series of reviews here and there. As a matter of fact, it's almost about 13 times that the Electoral Amendment bill has been reviewed. So right now, we call it 2022 because it is 2022, and we are still looking at some areas that needs to be amended, and also areas that needs to be talked about. Well, yesterday, it was a wide rumor that the president, of course, the president just returned from the United Arab Emirates, and the wide rumor followed that the president has accepted to the 2022 Electoral Amendment Bill, most especially Section 84, subsection 8, the one that talks about statutory delegates. And also, too, what also followed was that the PDP primaries across various states in the country consequently was postponed. But also, we also saw another counter information, most especially the information from the PDP chairman in Edo State, that the PDP primaries for House of Assembly and House of Representatives still holds today. So as we speak, that's the information that we have, and that's what we are working with. So as it stands now, the president is yet to sign the 2022 Electoral Amendment Bill, Section 84, subsection 8, the one that talks about statutory delegate. That's the way it is now. The president has not signed it. So what we're going to be looking at here today, because when we talk about the Electoral Amendment Bill, subsection 84, of course, you have the one that talks about statutory delegate, subsection 8, and of course, the one that talks about political appointees resigning before contesting for elective position. That's the subsection 12 of the same section 84 of the Electoral Amendment Bill. So we're going to be looking at, because eventually, if the president signs subsection 84, section 84, subsection 8 into a law, what implication is it going to have for the election? How is it going to improve on the quality of the forthcoming election? So that's what we're going to be extracting today on our discussion segment on the program this morning on ITV. And of course, we are so privileged to have pharmacist Uji Orehi here with us, and also Mr. Ken Erunse is also here with us on the show this morning. You're welcome to this program this morning on
Thank
ITV.
you.
You're welcome, Ken.
Thank you.
All right, so let me start with pharmacist Uji Orehi. The nation is awaiting the accents of Mr. President on the Electoral Amendment Bill, Section 84, subsection 8. If the president signs eventually, how do you think is going to improve the quality of the much awaited election that we're talking about?
Well, you see, if, as a matter of fact, the president goes ahead to assent to that bill, what implication it gives is, first and foremost, is that we have more persons coming out as delegates for each of the respective parties. Because what the law on ground now stipulates is that only elected delegates can go for the election. So it means that more and more persons, I think I was reading somewhere where the number could shoot to as much as, 3,000. A whole large number of persons, some have to begin to file out to choose who their respective candidates at the various positions would be. And that will also mean that the parties will have to adjust. But the problem here is this. When this law is assented to within this short space of time, there is also a stipulated period of time within which INEC needs to, take the document, study it, and, adjust accordingly to ensure that the parties are captured in this program. But based on other provisions of the same law, which has already stipulated, and INEC is following the guidelines, like the time it takes for you to release publication notice of election, the time it takes for you to submit the names of your respective candidates to INEC, the time that is required for campaigns and all that. This will go a long way to affect this whole process, because INEC needs time to also study the document and adjust accordingly. So the question we are asking is, why do we need to wait this long for this assent from Mr. President? Because we understand that about 2 or 3 weeks ago, this document was sent to him for assent. Mr. President has not done this. In fact, it has a whole lot of implication on the process. The only thing INEC can actually do is to ignore these documents and go ahead with what is provided for in the law right now, and go ahead with the election it is. We can revert to this assent, as we call it, in subsequent elections.
Okay. All right. Kenny Erunse, let's get your insights. How do you look at this whole issue around the Section 84, subsection 8, statutory delegates, can vote during primaries in the election?
Thank you very much. Good morning, viewers. The issue of statutory delegates is not, it's not new to us. The only thing that is new here, because I've been a politician for over 10 years now, I know that in every primaries, statutory delegates participate in those primaries. Yes. I really don't know when or I'm not aware when the electoral law was amended to now adjust to ad hoc delegates. To be frank, I was really not aware of that part of the electoral bill that was signed by the president in January. But in any way, I think the National Assembly now saw the need to readjust so that they can now accommodate the statutory delegates who hitherto have been voting in party primaries before now. Restraining it to 3 ad hoc delegates, to me, is not even democratic enough. Because the party, statutory delegates are the functionaries of the party, ab initio. They are the ones that run the party, that understands the party, and as well understands, to a large extent, understands the procedures and processes, and also understands the individuals, so to say, in the party. So taking them out of the process, to me, is very undemocratic as it is now. It's undemocratic. I don't know why they ever made such a mistake. But now that it has been rectified, and I'm even amazed that the president refused to sign. That's a amendment was a matter of urgency.
We cannot say the president has refused to sign.
Or he delayed to sign. Let me use the word, or he's delaying to sign the amended bill because he traveled to UAE just to pay condolence visit. That is amazing to me. You have a very
that's not the issue.
So anyway, now to come to the point, it will actually help accommodate more people, like I said, more delegates, and to widen the process. And like he rightly said, we are going to have about as much as 7,000 delegates now. So INEC will also need time to prepare for this expanded process. But my only worry is that PDP is supposed to start its primary today. I wouldn't know.
PDP is starting. That's the last that we heard from PDP.
There's still a conflicting statement coming because I made some calls today. Some people are saying they are not aware. Some say they are aware. So it's still conflicting as we speak. So if PDP goes ahead to do their primaries today, what would then become of their primary if the electoral bill is signed on Monday, perhaps tomorrow?
So they may have passed that. They may have passed that. They may have passed the primaries. So does that mean that they will nullify their primaries if the electoral bill is signed?
That is what I think. INEC, there should be, if you were to ask me, there should be a crucial meeting tomorrow morning or tomorrow between INEC, the political parties, to not discuss this issue. If there is need for INEC to extend the primaries.
But we are looking at a time frame as it encompasses the election itself, because everything is timed.
Yes.
So we cannot begin to extend.
But we have extended the elections before in this country. We have done that in number of times.
You know why it may be a little bit,
difficult
to do. There are other provisions of these amendments that is not just this little provision that is causing some controversy that we have there. The document that Buhari signed in February 2022, there are a lot of other issues in the Electoral Amendments Act that, it bodes well for the process generally. It bodes very well for the process, and no one has really come out to criticize many of these provisions.
Yeah, but the politicians are reacting because
no. If you see what the bill, the intent, the total changes that has been inserted into it, that Buhari has sent, the president has sent it to in February, you could see that a lot of things bodes well for strengthening INEC as a body to come
and also our electoral process too.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but it is the aspect that involves these our political players, you know, which is whether they should be delegates or aspirants, while they are political office holders. That is the aspect that is causing a lot of, you know, upheavals. If for any reason we are to go ahead with the primaries today, it will also be another case of litigation for you to now tell the candidates that emerge in that process that they should wait again. Let's find time to go through this election, because they will tell you that their election was conducted under an existing law.
Yeah.
And they emerged under an existing law. So for you now to come out and say, well, we're waiting for assent of Mr. President. And another thing we have to consider, what if Mr. President does not assent to this bill at all, eventually? Does it mean that our primaries will not go on?
Anyway, gentlemen, in as much as we are looking at all this whole issue, we must also understand that it still depends on the kind of primaries that each political party tends to do. Take, for example, a political party that was just, after all said and done, we opt for the consensus candidates, may not bother itself over statutory delegates and all that.
Definitely.
Take, for example, the All Progressives Congress. We understand that that party is almost toiling towards that direction. Can you say?
Yeah, those are speculation anyway, because we all know the provision of the consensus candidates. There are also conditions attached to it. It's not just about consensus all the way. There are conditions, and the conditions are that for the consensus to be acceptable, all the aspirants involved must put up a written letter to that effect.
That they so agree.
Yeah, they have agreed to the consensus and all that. Failing to, even if it's one aspirant that do not write such a letter,
And the contest.
there's no consensus. Contest will go on. So it then means that consensus as we speak now is speculative, because we wouldn't know if all the aspirants in the All Progressive Congress are going to accept consensus. There are feelers from the Tinubu camp already that they are not going to accept consensus. I'm aware of that. I read it in the paper some days ago, that they will be, their candidate, Bola Tinubu, prefer an open contest where he's sure of winning the election. So if those kind of feelers already coming out from Tinubu's camp, that shows that there's no consensus agreement as at now. We don't know if tomorrow he will change his mind anyway with his politics. But as of today, Tinubu is not accepting consensus. I don't know about the other aspirants. But even if he's the only one that is not accepting consensus, the fact remains that there's no consensus when he did not ask.
Yeah, but an aspirant not agreeing to a consensus may not be as well. I know that that's what the law says, that all the aspirants must agree. But I think on the whole sum, the law says that every card-carrying member of the political party should be allowed to vote under the consensus candidate. So don't you think that that may give way for a political party to opt for consensus after all?
No, I think you are talking about direct primaries.
That's where
all card-carrying members.
All
card-carrying members. You see, the major parties are not inclined to such process of electing their candidates because of it throws away a lot, because they will not know where it will swing. They prefer to have those few delegates coming out and speaking with the delegates and doing whatever they can do with the delegates to get the election. And it is going to be a very expensive process to have all the card-carrying members of the party vote in particular election. That means in every ward, there is going to be voting. And INEC will stretch itself through these wards in a given local government. Like in Edo State, you will have INEC having to monitor election in 192 centers. There is going to be an uncontrollable situation. So the parties would have been able to scale all of these if they have appropriate database of their members, you know, so that they can find a way of voting without stampeding themselves into some kind of situation. But now the parties seem to have come to that conclusion that we will not adopt the direct primaries. The options left for them are the consensus option, which is very difficult, as my friend here has explained. And indirect seems to be the easiest way out for them. And that is why this president delaying an assent to this bill is causing a lot of commotion. You know, INEC has been shifting this election, this primaries for a very long time now, against what they provided for in the timetable. They have been looking to see how they use the time, you know, to do something. But this assent has not come. I don't think INEC will want to wait any longer. They may want to go ahead with what is provided for in the law. That is the danger of what we face. But it could also happen that a party like APC could wait some more, and they want to adopt. If the president finally signs, they will want to now adopt what the president has signed. But PDP may not want to wait for that. That's the situation on ground.
Okay, now let's stretch it further. This section, talking about section 8412 now, the one that talks about political appointees resigning, that is one area that is still generating reactions. As a matter of fact, we understand that the president has, made a plea to the Supreme Court to intervene in the issue. But let's look at it. For political appointees that are reacting, what do you think is exactly their fear? Kenny Rose, I'll start from you.
Okay, the issue of political appointees resigning, I think is something normally should have been the norm.
Common sense.
It should have been the norm, you know, but you know in Nigeria, nothing is actually normal anymore. Because you can't be holding public office and you're aspiring for an office. Obviously, you'll be diverted. You are trying
distracted.
You'll be distracted. That's the word. Sorry, you'll be distracted, and more importantly, is that you will not be spending public funds at your disposal to carry out your personal campaigns. Because that is obviously what's happening if you're holding public office.
Kenny Rose, when we say this, what about the governors? The governors...
No, the constitution is... No, because you know why. No, it is for the appointees. What the amended in the electoral is for
public funds. Yes. For the governors that are more... the public funds is more at their disposal.
Yeah, you are right. It's even... It will still have the problem there, obviously. But we just have to try to reduce the problem by extending it to appointees. We are even expanding the problem. We are increasing the problem. So is it not better we try to reduce the problem? Maybe a time will also come. What we also do, because the constitution is meant to be reviewed over time and over time. A time will definitely come. We need to now come to the doorstep of the governors and elected, even the president, elected people, that if you have to contest, you may have to resign, maybe 3 months to the election, or as the case may be. But we have not gotten to that point yet. But we know that even in developed societies, developed countries, their president and governors don't resign.
I think
those are the democracies we are learning from. They don't resign. That is, but those that resign are actually the appointed ones. And so we should start from there.
Okay, you wanted to say something?
I think we know what was behind that provision when the Senate looked at it. What was really behind it was this. They were targeting appointees, government appointees at the state level and the federal level. For example, in a state where you appoint so many SSAs, so many SAs, so many, like that. And you call them appointees. You think they are eligible. You feel they are eligible to go and act as delegates for an election. Of course, what do you think? Out of the how many SSAs, SAs, commissioners, there's no way you can beat a sitting governor. Whatever he wants. It becomes very undemocratic. You know that? It becomes very undemocratic. So that was why that clause was inserted. So that the Senate, but it was not as if the Senate or the House of Reps, they did it in good faith. They were only looking to clip the wings of certain persons while bringing themselves up to an advantage. But now, it also affected them in another way, because they themselves were removed as statutory delegates.
Okay, Mr. Kenny Ruse, something that people are already saying, that this flip-flop attitude of the way we are going about our politics, a few months to the election, we are still looking at our electoral laws, amended, not amended, and all that. For some persons, it doesn't tell well, for us as a nation. I don't know what your reactions are on this.
It is just as a result of the lackluster approach of the president. We don't have a president that is proactive.
You cannot say so.
Yeah, I've been saying this repeatedly.
Yeah.
We're having this problem of delayed assent. It has really been...
But again, you also cannot...
Really
there are times, there are some of the bills that needs to be amended. The president cannot amend the bill himself. What he can only do...
No, that's what I'm saying now.
Even
the one that he just signed, that he signed last time, I mean, it took a whole lot of time for him to assent to that. In fact, it took a lot of pressure. In fact, he had to wait till the last day. I mean, at the point he returned it, if you can remember.
But don't you think
he returned it,
and
insisted that certain things must be inserted or certain things must be removed. Not corrected, because the onus lies on the lawmaker to make laws. He had no right to even tell them what to do. The fact that they even accommodated his reservation or his appeal was out of just to let the matter skate through easily. The truth be told, the lawmakers are empowered by the Constitution to make laws. It's not the presidency that make. It's not the president that make laws. Whether the law is good or bad is another issue, but it is their right to make laws. Once they make laws, it's not the duty of the president to sign. And let me even tell you, the president does not have the final say of appending to the law. It's just that, normally in our democracy, most times we have lawmakers who are not really working for the country, who are working for their party or their interest. Otherwise, they have the final signature. Because after 30 days,
they can override.
They can veto it. And that means they have this final signature, not the president. Just that they don't know what they are doing. Most of them don't know their rights, or they just decide to play along because for party interest and all that. Normally, this new electoral law or whatever electoral law should be, after 30 days, if the president refuses to sign, they will veto it and it becomes law.
Okay. All right. So, pharmacist.
Let me quickly say this. You remember this was the issue then, before the 2019 election. There was an aspect that involves whether transmission of
result electronically.
Oh yes, electronically. Okay. Now the president took his time, because I think he was being advised, if you do this, it will never be to your advantage, probably. So he didn't sign. We didn't use it. So some of us were very hopeful that, well, they didn't sign it, we couldn't use it in 2019 election. That document is already there. There will be enough time to deal with it before the next election. Now, it's a pity that it took us till 2020, February here, for that bill to be signed. So that there are a lot of things that are not being done as promptly as they should be done, because that is creating a lot of problems for us. Okay.
Now, let's come down a bit to Edo State, with what some people say to be some brewing, political crisis in some political parties in the state. We understand that the People's Democratic Party, it's on its, it's going to be having its primaries today, at least from what the chairman told us. But pharmacists, let's look at this whole issue. The Constitution, the primaries now going on today, and of course the Electoral Amendment Bill. Let's get, how do you think it will interplay? How the primary election may just go on today? I want to speak on that.
You see, let me be frank with you. Since the emergence of Mr. Godwin Ogase as the duly elected governor of Edo State for his second tenure, I'm sorry to say, this party has not known peace. There have been issues upon issues, litigations upon litigations. There have been issues of harmonization, which the law came to admit was alien to the party constitution.
Yeah, but also, you cannot, when you say the party has not known, is it wrong that the governor brought...
I am not saying the governor brought peace, but the issue remains that the party has been embroiled in one form of crisis or the other. It is those who came with me, they need to be accommodated in your structure.
Is that wrong after all?
It is, the court said this is alien to the party constitution. That means that move ab initio was not supposed to be.
Yeah, the question I'm asking you is, if the governor says that he came from the All Progressives Congress into the PDP with some members, and these members needs to be adopted in the PDP, is it wrong? Is there anything wrong there?
The court said so. What the governor and his team wanted to do was to incorporate them into the party structures, from the ward to the local government to the state level. Now, the people who had their Congress and were in position at that time said, this is not what we know. This party cannot accommodate this. Then again, they saw the governor not yielding ground on who he needed to appoint as his cabinet. You know, that issue brewed for a long time. They saw the governor as one who was not ready to give anything, but he wanted to acquire everything. On the other hand, that is where this issue started from. A lot of meetings and meetings. We can talk about this now because ordinarily, if the executive, the cabinet, the state cabinet, and the party executive at various levels are speaking with one voice, this is not a problem at all. This is not a problem. It is because they are speaking discordant notes. That is why we are having this issue. That is why we can even say, oh, what do we now do? The crisis is there, and we will not pretend as if the crisis is not there.
So how do you think, what do you think is going to be the outplay of today's primaries? That's what I'm asking.
It's fearsome, because we are already, as we are here now, we are already envisaging another round of litigation after the primaries. Because what I hear from some people is that, no, this list is going to be taken. It is not this list that is going to be taken. INEC has not come with a position which is to be adopted. But it seemed to me we are likely going to see some persons locating themselves somewhere, doing one primary and throwing out a candidate.
Why others
are also doing
boycott?
something, you know. So we are already seeing that this is going to play out, and litigation will follow immediately. And if care is not taken, they will lose their position to the opposition party in the state.
Okay. Now, Ken Iruse, you are not a member of the People's Democratic Party, but you observe political proceedings in the state. So let's look at Edo State for today. The primaries for House of Assembly and, of course, House of Representatives. Just going by what pharmacist has said.
Yeah, just to align with what he said. I keep saying this thing. I told people, there's difference between merger and decamping. When you are merging, it's an amalgamation of different organizations or different parties coming together, like APC did in 2015. Change the name, structure, everybody, the structure will accommodate everybody. That's the nature of merger. But when you are decamping, it is not in any parties that, as far as I know, in any party's constitution, that you must collapse the structure. No, but it can be done based on gentleman's agreement anyway. But when there's no gentleman's agreement, you allow the existing structure to remain because it will be subject to litigation. Those people who were there were elected. They were not appointed. So for the fact that they were elected, they can go to, any of them can go to court. And the entire PDP structure will be there. Because if you remove me as an elected party executive, because you want to accommodate a new member that just did. A new member is a new member. And if he becomes a member of PDP or any political party, he takes the membership card, automatically has been absorbed. Yes. So if the governor is saying, I want them to absorb, you are the leader of the party, you are the governor, the government apparatus are with you. You can fix your people who came along with you into a appointed position. And you can also do the same to the people you met on ground. Yes. And I keep saying this. When Oshomole became governor in 2007, he didn't have a structure. Oshomole, a structure brought him on board to become governor. Oshomole did not ask that the structure be destroyed or dissolved or collapsed. What Oshomole now did was to warm his heart into the structure. Why he was able to do that? Because he empowered all of them. He gave them room for everybody to excel and benefit from his government, and he was able to win them over. You will observe that towards the end of Oshomole's, or towards the end of his first tenure, almost the entire structure
belonged to him.
Now belonged to him. He didn't struggle it. You know, understand? But that is what I expect the governor to have done. As a governor, you have all the apparatus to do that. All you needed to do was, this is an existing structure. We met on ground. We are all one PDP. I'm the leader of the party. All I need to do is to win these people to me, to become loyal to me. If you wanted to do that,
you probably are explaining it from your point of view. Other persons may.
No, I'm saying that is
different.
That is exactly what should be done. It's not rocket science. You see, you don't destroy a structure that was elected. You don't do that. Because
but the question we keep on asking when it comes to who really handles the leadership in any political party in the state. You know, people will say it is the governor that is the leader of the party.
No,
Why some will say
even
that it is the
word
party
leader,
executive.
even that word leader.
So this is
it's
an
not
issue.
entrenched in the constitution.
Yeah.
It's not entrenched in the constitution at all.
So who is the leader of the party in the
It is a
state?
conventional
He's the
way.
chairman of the party.
It's a conventional way of accepting that.
The chairman, the state chairman of the party is the leader of
It's
the
the leader of the party.
That is the constitution.
That's the constitution.
Who is now the governor?
The governor
He's a party member.
Is a leader. Is a party member. Is a leader in the party, which is not in the constitution, but by convention is a leader.
Who manifests the manifestos of the party? Who gives direction?
It's an abnormality for a governor to be a leader of a party while he's a governor, while he's in office.
Oh,
you know why? The moment you become a governor or a president, as the case may be, you are the leader of the entire state, irrespective of party affiliations.
But you are from a
So
political party.
I understand that. But restricting yourself to be a leader, that is why you must do justice to all. By the time you restrict yourself to be a leader of one party, you cannot be fair to members of other party. That is the idea. I can refer you back to the Second Republic, when Abruzali was governor in this state, or even when Oyegun was governor. Did you ever hear that Oyegun was leader of the party or Abruzali was it? No! We never had such terms as leaders. It was during this Fourth Republic that people just inserted this word leader. It is to me, it is illegal. It is not in the party's constitution, it's not in the Nigerian constitution. And it's even an abnormality, and it's even an illegality for it. And that is why you see most of these governors today use state resources to fund parties.
Anyway,
because by the time you assume the position of a leader of your party,
You must act up.
Not,
You must act up.
You will not start using state resources.
Let us not derail from the point
Yeah,
of
that's the
today's discussion. Now, for the primaries in Edo State, let's begin to set agenda for the participants of today's primaries. I'll start with pharmacist Orehe.
The participants.
Yeah, let's.
Are you talking
set
about the
agenda.
delegates now?
The delegates, and of course those that will emerge.
You see, we at the party, at the ward level, where we play politics, some of the questions we ask: what does it mean to be called a delegate? What does it mean to be called a delegate? Now we are all members of a party. We are at the ward level. We are choosing you through a process, and you are delegates to represent us to elect a candidate. Now that means we have asked you to go forth for us and elect this candidate. We should tell you who to elect. Because the aspirants have come to see us. They have shared their ideas with us. We have had to listen to them, and we know which one we can accommodate. We say, go, choose this candidate for us. Another ward will do likewise. They choose their favorite candidate. So in the end, the candidate who gets the majority
votes wins.
emerges. And we all now come under that party umbrella and pursue the ambition of that individual. Now, let's ask ourselves the basic questions. How many of these candidates have come to us to talk to us on what they are going to deliver? Practically none. But what do we see, sir?
When you say, are you saying that the campaigning has not been going on?
Well, they have been going on.
Yeah.
Do you know what they do? You know what they do? The delegates are so detached from other members of the various wards. The delegates put themselves together. They go to see the aspirants, and whatever they do, you don't know. So you are just a member of the ward. You don't have any input in what is going on. The delegates know themselves because from what is on ground, the PDP constitution has already stipulated this and this and these are the delegates of the party that we know. So they go and meet these people, they talk, and they agree on something. You don't have any input on it. So at the end of the day, a candidate emerges.
Okay.
And it is, whether you like that candidate, whether you have confidence in that delegate, in that candidate, you are meant to pursue that.
Okay,
you can't even set
as
an
we
agenda.
wrap up now, as we wrap up now, Kenny Rousset.
Okay.
Yeah, just go on with what he was saying. Talking about today's election primaries, set an
It is
agenda.
expected that the delegates, I don't know which one they will accept now because there's confusion in PDP now as per which delegate list.
You are not a member of PDP, so you cannot say
So
there's
I don't need to be a member of a party to do my analysis.
The
I
party
get
has not
feedback
said
here
that
and
there
there.
is confusion,
I get feedback
so
here
you
and
cannot
there.
speak for them.
But what I'm trying to say is that what we are getting, the feedback, at least we read the papers every day. There is confusion everywhere. We don't know which delegates to, they're going to use anyway. But the truth of the matter is that.
But there's going to be primaries today.
Hopefully there
So
will be a
whether you like
primary.
it or not, the primaries is going to be done by
So
delegates.
it's expected that they should do the right thing. That is my opinion. They should do the right thing. The party must do the right thing to produce so that they will not end up not having a candidate. Like my friend said, there may be litigations. And that is what these parties must watch out for. It happened in Zamfara, it happened in Rivers, but politicians don't learn. It can happen in Edo, in PDP Edo specifically. So I hope they don't fall into that trap. I don't wish anybody evil. I hope they don't fall into that trap, because most of these aspirants have spent resources. I have some who are my friends, personal friends. They have spent resources. So I wouldn't want a situation where I haven't done that, the whole thing will be, messed up.
All right, thank you so much, Ken Irunse, and also pharmacist Oriahi, for finding time to join us today. And for the primaries ongoing, the PDP primaries ongoing today, I think the word of advice is that whoever emerges should also carry others along. That's what we are saying here. So we pray that it ends well at the end of the day, that different candidates will emerge for seats in the House of Assembly and also seats in the House of Representatives. And also for the Electoral Amendment Bill, the Section 84, the statutory delegates issue. So let us wait for the President to sign that bill into law before we can actually make our postulations on how it will turn out on our elections as we await the election. Anyway, the program is still on here this morning on ITV. Very big thank you to pharmacist and also Mr. Ken Irunse for finding time to join us on the show today. Please stay tuned.
Thank you, everyone.